Bill, the first thing I'd like you to tell us a little bit about is your early memories of, where you first became aware of the Newport Jazz Festival. Have you been here before? What it meant to you?
One question at a time. I'm looking at the Newport Jazz Festival when I was a kid with no money to come here. But the Newport Jazz Festival was a big, big thing. And to live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and to think you'd come all the way to Rhode Island and be with the rich people while they sit out there in the sun and they're having food and a big picnic and listening to my musical heroes. And I've always thought the Newport Jazz Festival something super, super special. And the beginning, I would imagine, of some great things. I wasn't as hip about Europe. I mean, it was Newport and then some things around, but Newport, big.
And so how does it feel to be here and performing yourself at Newport?
I didn't get a chance to see the people because I was working on the stage, and I wanted to keep track because, see, the beautiful thing about this band, I don't know if anybody can really appreciate, the musicians don't really see each other or play with each other until rehearsal. And we have a window of about 2 hours to run down tunes that I've selected. So in order to make things tight, I just have to lean on their experience, their ability to play. This is not something where guys just play and go crazy. They have to be able to they have to be knowledgeable, harmony, everything. I expect them to come with that.
How did you first get involved as a musician, and at what point in your life?
The point in my life was, I would imagine, when I was a child with a knife and a fork, or two knives, and listening to the radio and playing along. And then with the Holly Briggs marching band, as a tenor drummer, I wasn't good enough for the snare drum. Marching up and down Broad Street in Philadelphia in parades, and also practicing in the hall. And then I was a drummer in a rock and roll band when I was in the Navy. Larry somebody, I forget what the guy's name was. But he's a white kid, he played the guitar, didn't play well, I didn't play well. It was a guitar, piano, and an upright bass. And we played the clubs in Argentia, Newfoundland. And there's a great picture of me looking like I'm Art Blakey or somebody. But I didn't want to play rock and roll, so I kind of did that. I think we got paid. I think that's why I did it.
Now, I know, like I think it was in the 70s, you used to go down and gig at like the Village Gate or somewhere, didn't you?
Yeah, I was really a celebrity nuisance, especially to a person like Jimmy Smith, who was a friend of mine. And many times, after becoming famous, Jimmy would have a gig at a club somewhere in Los Angeles, and I'd show up and ask if I could play 2 songs, and poor Jimmy Smith would relinquish, his drummer would get up and I would play and then sit down and feel like I had done something super special. And then I think the next person that I put an awful lot of pressure on was Willie Bobo. Willie Bobo made a mistake and became a very, very close friend of mine. And so I think I made some of Willie's gigs more than the average person would come and visit a person on their gig.
When you were an up-and-coming comedian doing, doing gigs in New York, would you, after them, would you go downtown and hang out at jazz clubs? Did you see anybody in particular you remember?
In the Village, when I started in Greenwich Village, the great thing about being in Greenwich Village was you could walk. You could walk Vanguard, Village Gate, the Half Note, the Blue Spot, or whatever. There were about 10 clubs you could walk in and out of, and people would be there. Hank Mobley, Sonny Rollins, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Horace Silver, J.J. Johnson, Max Roach, Miles Davis. So, and the clubs never really shut down. I think like 5 o'clock in the morning, you could still catch somebody's last set if you went perhaps to Birdland. And all of these things are within walking distance, except Birdland. Now you're down in 8th Street and 7th and 4th in the Village. But essentially that's what made everything great. I remember seeing Eric Dolphy up in somebody's loft with a fellow I graduated from junior high school with, Sonny Murray, James Murray. And it was just wonderful in those days. I remember seeing Sonny Rollins on stage at the Village Vanguard. The Village Gate. You look up, and he's on the stand. The bandstand was up, and Sonny had on Bermuda shorts, and I started laughing to myself because it was very distracting. You either concentrated on Sonny playing or his kneecaps going up and down. I didn't realize that a person balancing themselves, when you balance yourself, your kneecap moves. And so that's what I was watching.
I tried not to laugh out loud, as you can tell.
Help yourself.
Could you give us your comments on some of the other artists who are performing in the show? I'll ask you one at a time. Wayne Shorter.
Wayne Shorter is a part of my musical life. In other words, in my lifetime, Wayne Shorter, listening to Wayne Shorter is right on up to when I'm 64. And listening to Wayne, in the beginning of listening to Wayne, I'm in my early days of the late Navy days, 59, 50, 58 through. So Wayne Shorter has been in my life, and I have thoroughly enjoyed every Wayne Shorter journey. It's very difficult to say about every artist because they all go through changes. Somebody's blue period, somebody's red period. You can look at Picasso. There's some of the periods you don't.
Dave Brubeck.
Dave Brubeck is a man who brought a certain style of playing just in that one particular song, Take 5, that changed all of the jazz music. Because then people could do things around and round and round and round and set up for people who wouldn't ordinarily buy the music are now buying it. And because of that, they're listening and they're thinking, they're enjoying, and this allowed for other artists to enter. So I'm sure that the record companies are very, very happy to have Dave Brubeck.
Did you know that he was here the second Newport Jazz Festival? He was here, and he's the only artist who's kind of started that early with the festival and who's still going.
I think Dave was also here before Newport.
No, maybe not at the festival. Before there was a festival.
I think before there was a city of Newport, Dave Brubeck. I mean, Dave Brubeck, As a matter of fact, if my understanding is clear, there was no piano. And Dave just went into the forest and started humming. And then he saw some Native Americans and he said, would you come here, listen to this. Can you play that? And the drummer, boom, 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 boom. He said, no, no, that's not it. And I don't know where he went after that, but he came back strong.
How about young Roy Hargrove?
What a pleasure. For someone who feels that personally, the jazz trumpet section took a terrible hit with the early loss of Lee Morgan, Clifford Brown, Donald Byrd just leaving, Kenny Dorham's death. That lead trumpet players took a hard hit. There's quite a few more I can't recall now. And so it's wonderful to see Roy realize who he is and what he means to this business. He's got a wonderful group.
He had a great set today. And I didn't know he and Dave did an album together a couple of years ago, and so they were happy to see each other.
Yes.
It was kind of cute, Dave represents such tradition, and here's Roy, this young cat, and they're just getting on famously. Tomorrow we're going to have a singer, Kurt Elling. Okay, then we won't bother with that.
Good luck. I don't know.
Well, he's a new guy. He's a young guy.
You're not helping me.
Yeah, you'll have to come back tomorrow.
No, I'm going to be with my wife.
Let's see. Is there anything else you want to share about what kind of jazz has meant to you personally over the years, or is another avenue of your life that people aren't that familiar with?
I think that in many, many ways we're better off today. The younger musicians are a lot cleaner. I'm talking about drugs, nicotine. Some of them won't even drink coffee, man. They're just much hipper about their health. Therefore, the people who love this music are going to be blessed with musicians who will be around to play in their grand master years. We only have my people, my time, a few guys still 70 years old. I mean, I think we lost them because they went down into the nightclubs, cigarette smoke, secondhand cigarette smoke all the time, spending, or drinking heavily, pushing oneself, whether it be marijuana, heroin, cocaine, all this bad, illegal stuff, and then being on the road and eating bad food. The musicians today, the young ones, they go to school, they study at Berkeley, and they study at Berkeley, and they study at Berkeley, and the new school, and they still get the masters to come and teach them. It's absolutely wonderful, and they're clean and clear. And so Newport, the Newport Festival, gives hope to a musician who feels the music. And this is a music. This music is something that, it comes to you. You hear it, and it comes to you. You will be smitten if you like it. And then you find yourself enjoying that. And one of the greatest things about it is most musicians playing this music enjoy everybody else's music as well. I remember Ben Riley, the great drummer with Thelonious Monk at the time, Ben telling me about a guy, and he bought the album. He said, man, I want you to hear this guy. Now, Ben Riley is working with Thelonious Monk. He said, man, what happened? This guy is mean. Who is he? Jimi Hendrix. Now, here's a guy playing with Thelonious Monk who loves Jimi Hendrix. I have one great story I must tell. It is a truthful story. This happened to me. I have heard this story come back to me, but I'm telling you, it's possible that this could happen to other people. But this happened to me. I'm in Lake Tahoe, and Lake Tahoe, I'm in a suite, and the guy's got a CD player, and I'm going to be there for about 2 days, so I decide I want to buy some CDs. And I said to a fellow who was in charge of me, I said, do you have a Tower record? The guy said, yeah, we got a Tower record, Mr. Cosby. I said, well, do you know the jazz section? Oh, yes, we have a jazz section. I said, okay. How far away? He said, well, it's right across, maybe about a 20 minutes down back, really. I said, okay, I want Frankie Dunlop on drums with Thelonious Monk. He said, okay, Frankie Dunlop with Thelonious Monk. He said, right. The guy goes away. 2 hours, he's gone. He comes back. Mr. Cosby, I'm sorry. I went to Tower Records. Then I went to so-and-so. I went to the such and such. And nobody has The Loneliest Monk.
That's a good one. Well, it's an unfortunate good one, but it is.
Okay, thank you.
What
What's that?
Just a little kind of closing statement of...
Yes, the end.
Something along the lines of how you experienced, how you appreciated your experience here at Newport this time, and, if you felt like it, that everybody should try to come here sometime. Something along those lines, if you'd be comfortable with that.
One of the funniest things is I had music copied for Singing in the Rain, and we kept it. And sure enough, after rehearsing it, we went on stage and it was raining. And I thought, boy, I'm pretty good, man. I didn't know it was, but we had it anyway. I listened to the audience. I didn't have time to pay attention to them because I was working the band. But we had a great time. Some of the people were laughing, and some of the moments, I couldn't hear whether or not they got the moments, but I'm told by people that they enjoyed it. Now, the test of the pudding is if George says, do you want to come back next year? That's after they tally up all the letters and everything. Part 2 is if he'll say, and you can have whatever musicians you want, because sometimes they say, well, you want to come back next year, but you can only have 2 people. They start to do things to you. But anyway, I can see myself enjoying the Newport Jazz Festival as a fan. It was wonderful. I like it because it's hip enough to say Sun Ra.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.